Hi, welcome to the video. We're doing a Q&A with the Ryerson Rams robotics team. So we put out a call on our social media for you all to ask us your questions, and we'll answer to the best of our ability anything you want to know about the team. I'm Vanessa Van Decker. I lead media and outreach, and I'm also leading on the mechanical side of things, and I study mechatronics engineering.
Cool. I'm Kelly Marcel. I'm doing biomedical engineering in my second year at Ryerson, and I am the media team lead for Ryerson Rams Robotics.
Hey, I'm Daniel. I'm the mechanical lead at Ryerson Rams Robotics, and I'm studying mechatronics engineering as well.
I'm Luca. I'm in my fourth year of mechanical engineering, and I run the science team along with Adam Yang, who's not present.
We had a few posts on Instagram asking what questions you guys wanted to know about robotics as well as R3, and we've written them all down to ask some of our execs. The first question is, how do you join R3?
So you can apply to the team if you want to send us an email, and we'll let you know when we're taking new recruits. But we generally take people for our technical teams in the early fall, late summer. So August, September, October, we'll open up our registration. So follow us on Instagram and YouTube, and you'll see announcements about that. And we're also on Twitter. But right now we're recruiting for our media team. So if you really want to become a part of R3 right now, you can join our media and outreach team. We do all kinds of things like this YouTube channel, our Instagram and Twitter, but also more technical side of things. So teaching seminars, teaching high school students and elementary students how to code or how to use CAD, or even just doing outreach events where we tell them what is engineering and what is robotics, and we get to answer their questions.
Yeah, we normally have some kind of a Google form or something put up when we are doing our recruiting season on our website. And that's probably the easiest way, or you just shoot us an email. Those are probably the two easiest ways to get a hold of us or to join the team.
In the description below, we'll link our media team application form, which you can fill out right now if you're a Ryerson student. But also we'll put our team email and our Instagram, so you can look there to check when we open technical registration.
It all come up on the team social media, right? The other thing is, if you want to join the team and it's out of recruitment period, a good thing to do is familiarize yourself with all the tools, do some personal projects. We're going to be putting tutorials up for some of the software we use a lot of on the team, and some of the things we do a lot of, like CAD, SolidWorks. So it'd be good to follow those if it's out of recruitment season. You want to join the team next year, say.
Yeah, some of the software we use are SolidWorks for the mechanical side, and then I think we use Python a good amount on the programming controls side, and then Eagle CAD and Altium for hardware.
And for media, writing skills are important, public speaking skills, research skills, so you can get accurate information, as well as video editing. So we let you use whatever software suits you best.
What we try and mainly work with is Adobe in terms of Photoshop, Premiere Pro, as well as After Effects. We also have gotten onto Canva, which is a cool website that you can use for free. So if you wanted to start working on your graphic design skills, I think that's a really good place to start.
Now that you mention it, Onshape is another great alternative if you don't have access to SolidWorks. I know a whole bunch of students don't for the most part. Onshape's a great place. It's online as well. You can do all of your work there and everything. The basic premise of everything is the same. It's just some of the stuff is moved around, or nomenclature of certain tools is different.
Yeah, for SolidWorks access too, there are some organizations, kind of not off the top of my head, but certain organizations in the mechanical engineering profession that you can join as a student with a modest annual fee will also grant you a non-commercial educational SolidWorks license. So if the school's not able to give you a license because maybe you're not in mechanical engineering as a major, or they ran out, that is sometimes an alternative. If you are in mechanical engineering as a major, you will typically have remote access to school labs, which will have SolidWorks installed on them. That is a great way. It works pretty well. And it's a great way of, getting to use the software too, if you can't get a license for yourself, or if your computer can't run it.
This is all great advice. So definitely, if you want to join the team, start now working on your skills, because then when you do join the team, you'll get to work on bigger projects and be part of more interesting things. And that segues nicely into the next question. Do you have to be in engineering to join the team? And the answer is a resounding no. You can be in any faculty you want to be, and we have a really diverse team, and we think that's one of our strengths.
Yeah, I'd say we're probably one of the most diverse design teams at the university. From my knowledge, like no other design team has so many faculties involved, so many different um, students from studying so many different degrees, even outside of FEAS even.
We've had a lot of members on technical teams that just, did robotics in high school, and then they felt like they didn't want to go into engineering as a profession, but they loved it as a hobby. And then they joined and they did just purely technical work on the team.
Yeah. With that said, your degree or whatever you're studying doesn't limit your options when you do join the team. It's totally up to you what you do want to work on. We're not going to restrict you in that way or in any way, really.
Oh, as long as you can work, right?
As long as you're willing to learn how to do the work and put in the effort, we're going to be willing to work alongside you and make sure you get to where you need to be able to do the work. Yeah.
Like, nobody's going to ask me to get on Adobe After Effects. No, that's a bad idea.
So some of the majors that I know of personally, people I know on the team, there's business students, architecture students, of course engineering, but we also have really valuable science students. We have professional communication students, English students, mathematics students, computer science students, art students, film students, almost every degree you can think of. There's someone on our team studying that.
Actually, in fact, a full half of my team are Faculty of Science students.
Yeah, we're very diverse, and I think that's what really helps us as a team succeed, having all these different skill sets.
Yeah, it's been a really big focus for us in the last couple of years as well to really expand where we're at, because a few years ago we weren't quite as diverse, but it's been really been on the uptick in the last 2 to 3 years now.
Still,
it's really
even
fun. Like you get to meet people from all over the university.
even from early on, we had a pretty broad base of members, like Akash, and
Yeah, we had people, but it wasn't quite to this magnitude, right? Like,
no, absolutely not.
we had a handful here and there before, but now we have like 30 at least, right? Like we have a good number of people, good substantial part of the team is outside of FEAS.
It's good because I think often engineers kind of act like they're the only faculty in the school. So it's nice to be on the team. It broadens your social circle. You talk to people with different perspectives than calculus.
100%.
Different perspectives than finishing the next lab report.
True. So our next question is, what is new this year for R3?
A lot.
Something new is I founded the media team in the summer. So that's been really great because we are having all of these business opportunities and outreach opportunities. And personally, I'm really interested in mentorship and like helping the next generation of people come up and join us. So that's been really rewarding and really exciting. And Kelly is now leading the media team, which is so great. She's doing an amazing job.
Yeah, Vanessa left some very big shoes for me to fill, but it's been so amazing. Like the amount of opportunities we've had and watching it grow has been really it's like a sense of accomplishment for us, I feel, because we really started with very little on our YouTube channel and things have really grown, and I'm really happy to be a part of it.
What's new this year? The end of the world. COVID-19, man.
Apart from COVID, the quarantine
remotely has been a big challenge. Like we really miss being in the shop.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It used to be that you'd be able to get with a team and you'd have the cat up on the TV and sketching on whiteboards, and now we're at the tender mercies of Zoom's barely functional screen sharing feature.
I actually forgot how much I miss the TV now. Like,
oh, come on, man.
Like, also my like little cubby in the back corner that I would just sit in all day. Like,
Daniel practically lived in the shop.
Honestly.
Seriously. Actually, I think for those who were on the team for a few years before COVID, I think not most of us, but a
good
solid
portion
fraction of us slept in the shop more than a few times.
Oh, that's how
I spent like 3 days there once during a midterm season.
Oh,
yeah.
I've never done that. I've spent like one night at a time.
That's the most I ever did was two nights in a row.
Even just like in the shop, all doing our like homework or our labs together. It was just like a nice atmosphere.
100% that too.
But there's substitutes online, right? We have voice channels on Discord. We kind of all hop in and discuss. That's new this year.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
been really great.
It's
We
nice.
had
It's like,
Slack going really strong to like keep our teams organized.
yeah.
Even on the technical side, we've like expanded our roster of robots and everything. Previous years we'd only had one rover. We're looking at expanding that list to like 2, maybe 3 in the next year or 2 as well. So it's just a whole bunch of new goals and everything like that.
And also on the mechanical side, we've thought about like we had to rethink our manufacturing. So for instance, like manufacturing things modularly. So a bunch of different people can be making parts and then we put them all together, and that helps with like staying socially distanced and moving forward with limited capacities. We've found ways to be creative and innovative in the ways we approach problems.
Yeah, lots of 3D printing too, right? Especially for early prototypes, because 3D printers are cheap. A lot of people own them. It helps us spread our manufacturing around, and you can always, prototype it, test the motion of a linkage, all 3D printed, and then only machine the real final version.
Yeah, 3D printing is really come in like handy, and like that's another thing we didn't really utilize that much before. We always had the option off and on,
Yeah.
barring working or like if there were issues with our 3D printers. But like now, since we're all been at home, like almost every other person on the team has just been like, oh, I'm gonna get a 3D printer, and then we just start doing random little things for the team. It's such a big
Yeah.
change in terms of that.
Well, it used to be that when we'd 3D print parts, right, they were parts which we were designing to be 3D printed. It was an explicit part of the design that it was going to be 3D printed, built in from the start. Now, even parts that we design for, to be milled, even to be done on a water jet or CNC milled, now we 3D print them because you want to fit test and just kind of play with the linkage, maybe get some video to share with the rest of the team. And well, we don't have quick access to milling machines anymore, so 3D print.
I think that's still going to be the case moving forward, though, right? Like, it's just
fast.
become so ingrained in like the mentality of how we want to do stuff now and how we want to test and design that I don't see us going back to only designing stuff for 3D prints. Like, we'll keep using 3D prints moving forward for everything.
The thing with 3D printing is it's very good for laziness, right? Because well, no, like you can do something faster on a mill. And yeah, we used to be able to go into the shop and be like, okay, well, we'll put some holes in this piece of tube we have, and
Right.
the whole prototype will be done in 2 hours. Now we can 3D print something, and the prototype will be done in 6 hours, but like it's 6 hours we can sleep overnight.
Mhm.
It's not involved, so things actually do get done faster in the end.
I think it's
that's
made
true.
us more agile and helped us iteratively design. Like you really see, okay, concretely, how can I improve this? And when we're not allowed to be in the shop, it allows us to still get that hands-on aspect.
100%. And that was something we were sorely missing right at the start when we all got kicked out of campus last year.
The stock of every local 3D printing company is going to plummet when we post this video. We're going to have a GPU style 3D printer shortage locally in Toronto. Just like,
Oh,
what do I
God.
need? Oh, I need to get a 3D printer to get on the team. That's not the case, guys. It's not.
Yeah, you
Like,
don't need
100%.
It's just
like
something we've been enjoying. I have to admit, I just bought a 3D printer.
I was in the same boat. Like, I was like, we have access to 3D printers here and there at the university. Like, I don't need to have my own or anything. And then, like, the summer came around and I was working and I was like, we're going to be 3D printing a lot. And I kind of want to just 3D print stuff. So I'm going to buy a 3D printer. And I just bought one, like, on a whim. And I've been using it so much. Like, it's a joy to have.
Yeah, it's good. It's good if you're already into like making stuff or you already do a lot of CAD, but I wouldn't recommend it because I know people are going to watch this video and kind of buy a 3D printer, but I would not recommend it if you don't already kind of like, CAD software can be had for free. So start there. Don't spend your money. And when you're like, oh yeah, I'm looking at these mechanisms, or hey, I kind of made this figurine in CAD. I'd like to have it. Or if you play Warhammer, then
Oh, God.
then buy a 3D printer. If you play Warhammer, buy one yesterday. The break-even point is like 0.
Oh, God.
But that's one of the pros of joining the team, right? We have people with 3D printers. So if they want to 3D print their parts and they're on the team, it's possible. If they're designing things for the team, like it's cool because they get to see their designs come to life.
100%.
So the next question is, what are the long-term goals for R3?
Rule the world.
Honestly, ruling the world of robotics, or at least robotic competitions. Like I don't think that's too out there, considering like our last competition we came second at URC 2019. They didn't hold URC 2020, so nothing going on there. But I think like our goal for this year 100% is to win URC. We're opening up ourselves to a whole bunch of new competitions. um, we might not win first year going in, but like our eventual goal at all of our competitions is 100% to win. um, that's like the baseline of the team, I would say.
Well, I
Just make
mean,
the
they
best
are
robots.
competitions. They are competitions. But it's you know, the thing is it's the team is more of an idea, right? Because, you know, people come in and out and they graduate, and actually the people who founded the team, none of them
Are
are on
here.
it. We
Yeah.
like a lot of us knew them.
Mhm.
A lot of us were on the team at the same time as them, but none of them are actually here anymore. Like you're fostering a good learning environment for people to really do things with their engineering degree, to really apply themselves. And in 10 years, none of us are going to be on the team, right? But hopefully it'll still be
Speak
that
for
kind
yourself.
of
No, I'm
well,
kidding.
hey, some of us intend to graduate, man. Some of us intend to graduate. But hopefully it'll still be that kind of experience for people that they'll come out of their engineering degree and they'll be like, wow, thank God I did that. You know, I learned so much. I gained so much valuable experience and made all those friends.
100%.
I think that's really true. Like for me, I feel like I've learned as much on the team as I have in my courses, maybe in a different sense. So less theoretical, more hands-on. But it's also really made me want to like keep going with my courses, because sometimes it can feel like a lot. You're doing a lot of theory and doesn't feel very like real, and it's a lot of studying, it's a lot of hard work. So it's nice when you go at the end of the week and you work on robotics and it feels like it pays off. You get to apply it to some real life problems.
Yeah. Even kind of branching off on that, like even just the opportunity to like try new things, or to just see where maybe like minute um connections are. Like sometimes I'll just be working on the shop, or I'll be on a call, and like I'll have the controls people, they're doing their own thing, and I'm just sitting in the call at the same time, just listening, doing my own thing. And then randomly in work, just because I'm in mechatronics, like when I'm studying or when I'm in a class, certain terminology or certain phrases will pop, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I know kind of what that is. Like I know someone that I can talk to, or I have like a very baseline understanding that I can use to help me in my classes, or something in the class that I can use to help the team then, right? Like just that opportunity to have that crossover basically.
For me,
True,
like
yeah.
also, I switched high schools for grade 12, and in my previous high school, there was not a lot of STEM going on and there was no robotics. So when I switched high schools, I got exposed to this whole other side of science that I didn't even really know about. I didn't know that I'd be a good fit for engineering until I had that experience, like getting to build in robotics clubs. So I'm really hoping to bring that to also young kids who might not have that exposure already in their lives, because it made a big difference for me, and I'm so glad I got that experience.
Actually, I'm going to go ahead and contradict my previous advice. If go ahead and buy a 3D printer. If that sounds like you, that you're getting exposed to this robotic stuff and you're getting interested and you're kind of getting into it, and you're on that same trajectory where before you weren't exposed to it and you've kind of stepped into a place where now you see it, buy a 3D printer. Like if you're really into that, because that is just, you know, for a 3D printer plus now stuff that you couldn't get even just not too long ago, you can get really easily on places like just Amazon or whatever, little hobby servo motors. You can actually make things at home for very little money.
Yeah.
So
And right now
100%.
it's hard with COVID, but after the pandemic, if you can't afford a 3D printer, libraries often have them now. So I know at least the Toronto Public Library, but
Yeah.
also other libraries around Canada and around the world. So that's something to definitely look into. See if there's any not-for-profits or any libraries in your area that offer 3D printing. That's a really great way to start making.
if you wait for a good sale, you can get a 3D printer for less than $200 Canadian. So you know that calculus textbook? I'm going to tell you a secret. Go search for Paul's online math notes. Now take the $160 from that calculus textbook and spend it on something you'll have fun using.
Another option too is like if you're just looking for like a couple of things here and there once in a while, there's plenty of people who offer printing services online. You can order them to custom print stuff for you. whether it's a simple figurine or something like that, and you can pay them an X amount of dollars or in whatever currency to print it, and then you get it shipped to you as well. It's going to take longer than if you had your own printer, but that's a nice alternative to just kind of, if you're just kind of getting your toes wet kind of situation there.
Although the break even's pretty early, I think, if you do a lot of printing. So.
Yeah, I would only recommend it if you're looking to get like 1-2 things printed maximum.
Honestly,
from there, you probably want to look at something where you're doing it yourself more.
For the $160, less than 2 textbooks, I'd say the on-sale printer is an amazing investment.
100%.
Again, Paul's online math notes. You got at least 2 calculus classes worth of math notes there, and they're really good.
They are really good. I had a textbook and I still used Paul's online math notes.
I think I probably, I don't think I opened the textbook, but boy did I open Paul's online math notes for.
I didn't even know Paul's online math notes existed. I already finished all my math courses. I'm like, I'm missing out. I'm like, I lost all the value.
It's this prof at an American university maintains them on his website. It's basically a calc textbook. It's so good.
I mean, it'll still come in handy. Like, we're using differential equations and everything all the time in upper year courses. Like, there's no point in not reviewing it. It
covers just about everything through to Calc 2, but it doesn't really cover differential equations. So you missed. Oh well. Wait. Nah, there's a bit of oh no, that does cover differential equations. There you go.
You got we're in.
Reference.
We're in.
Tutorial.math.lamar.edu. This is a Paul's online math notes video now. This is a Paul's online math notes channel now.
We'll add the link in our description.
Yeah, we will actually. It's so good.
It's a great resource, honestly.
Why not share the knowledge?
But yeah, take that and save your textbook money. Spend it on a 3D printer. You heard it here first.
Like this video.
Don't sue me if you fail your courses.
Yeah. Not a sellout, by the way. Not a sellout.
Yeah.
Not sponsored. Not sponsored.
No sponsorship and no liability.
Our next question is, do you name your robots?
Yeah.
100%. Is there a robot we've had that hasn't been named like since the start of the team?
Not that I can think of. And they're always like, yeah, no, not that I can think of. No.
How do you guys come up with the names? Is it like a group discussion? Are there fights?
Usually, well,
I think some of them are like a little bit of an inside joke in some cases, but
yeah, Jerry's.
But I think I'm not sure what happened with RoboSub, how you guys came up with, what was it? What were all the names?
Francine, Franklin.
Yeah.
Felix is the final version.
Yeah. What was the final version?
Felix.
Oh, Felix. I can't remember Franklin. No,
Franklin sounds like a turtle to me.
Is
like,
Franklin?
How that one happened.
Is Franklin the one in the box, like your very first prototype? I'm just thinking because like Frankenstein's. Why am I thinking Frankenstein's monster for Franklin?
We don't talk about that. What do you mean the one in the box? Which one in the box? There was nothing. There was no first prototype. It emerged fully formed, the elegant machine it is.
No, but that's how you do good design. Like that's something we talk about in our outreach, is that it doesn't just come in the final version and you don't give up. Like part of good design is like being tenacious, like keeping going and like making it better and better and better. Like that's how you grow as a designer.
I can't remember.
The first version is always garbage, always.
Yeah. I can't remember how many times, like when I first started working on URC, like the amount of times Keaton, who was the mech lead at the time, I would just like show up to a mech meeting. I'm like, yeah, I did some like sick work. Like it works. It's great. And he's just like, nah, you need to change XYZ like every other week. And I'm just like, ah, shit. Like, and the amount of times I just had to keep on not restarting, but like just making fixes. And then like seeing the final copy of like something that I played a part in, like, and from where I started the original design, like it's a massive change sometimes.
We're changing things all the way through. Even when you finalize your design and you send it to manufacturing, it still gets changed.
Yeah.
Not the mill, like, yeah, nah, this isn't even gonna fit, and it gets changed.
That comes with experience too. Like nothing you make is ever really gonna be 100%. Like even like the stuff Feroz made, like it needed last minute changes, and Feroz is like the founder, he made the team, like he knows his stuff. Like even then when we were going to machine stuff that he had a role in, like we're just like, no, that doesn't really work that way, or we can't
Well,
make it that way, so we have to make some change.
Feroz would often machine his own things, right? And he wouldn't even necessarily have the design completed. He'd just be like kind of like, you know,
Yeah.
playing it by ear a little.
Feroz was his own thing. Feroz was a monster in a good way.
Feroz
That's
is a
something
monster,
you're,
man.
like-
He's still alive.
Yeah. I mean, on
He's
the
out
team.
there. He's out there. He knows where you live.
He
We're trying to
does.
teach design for manufacturing, right, Luca? Like that's one of our initiatives this year is to teach the members about design for manufacturing.
Yeah, actually, we'll probably put out a kind of series of videos on that too, because you really got to understand how things are manufactured to sort of understand how you want to design something so that it fits a certain form of manufacturing, or with your design, you know, this is what I really want, how you got to adapt the shape to fit the available forms of manufacturing.
And even then, it's never really a skill that you stop learning.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's always like little changes, little snippets, or little things that you can do to make things just a little bit cleaner or a little bit better, especially depending on the way that you're gonna manufacture it or machine it, and the materials too. Those all play a massive role in how you want to do that.
Which is great when you go on internship if you've got a bit of experience from the robotics team for that, because then they're like, oh wow, you actually know what an end mill is.
Oh, I remember taking the class and then taking Joe's class for actual manufacturing and being like, oh wait, yeah, we did like talk about this stuff, but I had no clue what any of it meant, and it just made so much more sense afterwards, and just like having the actual hands-on experience for it, like it was crazy.
Definitely. Like it comes in handy in all of my courses. Whenever I'm doing a project and designing something, and if I can think about like real world experience, like using my hands, I do such a better job.
100%. I don't mean to like change the discussion really quick, but I don't think we even said what the names of all of our robots are. The question was, what is the name of our? Do you name your robots? Yeah. So the first one, well, at least that we already mentioned, is our sub. He's Felix.
The rover's Navi.
Yeah.
And yes, it is. Don't think it's anything, you know, astronomy related or anything like that. No, our electrical lead at the time was like, I like these new NVIDIA GPUs, and he basically just screamed Navi at the top of his lungs, and that was the name. That was it. God. That was it.
And then previous iterations of the rover were called Antares, right?
There's some contention around that. That name is a point of contention. I'm pretty sure it wasn't universally accepted.
Wasn't there a rover called Scarab, like a scarab beetle at one point?
Oh, isn't that like one of the very first ones? Or like...
No, that was Omar, the one with Omar's Skara arm on it a couple years back, I think. But that was also a point of contention, I think. Or no, maybe we did settle on that one. Yeah.
I think you guys did.
The arm was a Skara arm, SCARA. It's a layout,
right.
Type of mechanical arm or robotic arm.
Right. Did you guys name Ramsbot anything other than Ramsbot?
No, I'm pretty sure it's just called Ramsbot.
Ramsbot, if you don't know, is our 3-pointer shooting basketball robot. It's pretty cool. The next question is, what happens if school gets in the way of me finishing a task?
You're fired.
No.
That's a joke.
No, we all have school, right? We know how it is. Sometimes the workload gets unmanageable, so there is some flexibility there. We're all in the same boat.
Yeah, 100% on the team. I think like our thing is always school first. Make sure your classes are all in order. Make sure your all grades are in good. Make sure you got your academic goals all sorted out and that you're achieving what you have set up for yourself on that end. Everything we do here is to help support that. Don't necessarily make us a priority or the first priority. Make us a priority. But like your schooling, graduating, everything like that, 100%, that all comes first, and everyone on the team will tell you that, and we'll all help each other in totally different ways, every way that you can think of.
And that's coming from Mr. I'll still be here in 10 years, so you know it's real.
Yeah.
Well,
the
really
name was
team,
Clifford,
right? Like,
by the way.
Daniel
Oh.
said, like, we support each other. So the thing we really ask is that you let us know ahead of time so that we have a little notice so that somebody else can step in so that we still hit our deadlines. But that happens all the time. Like midterms come up, or sometimes someone has a project and they get overwhelmed. As long as they tell us, we totally understand.
Yeah, and that goes for every level on the team, from like our veterans, newcomers, to executives. We're always covering for each other or filling the gaps where we can and just helping each other out. There's just so much, at least on the executive level, like right now, there's been so much communication about making sure that everyone's good or that no one's getting overwhelmed with stuff. Like it's been a really busy season the last month or two. Like we've been really cranking out work and videos and stuff like that. Like just checking in with everyone. Like we make that a priority to make sure like everyone's good, not even just academically, health wise, and every way. We want to make sure everyone's good.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed as well. Like, even when I am asking, it's a little nerve-wracking at first because you don't want to annoy people, but everyone has been so like happy to help and just like, I've totally got this and taking control. And it's really nice to have that sense of support in the team.
You know, we're all students, so we're all kind of like
We've all been there.
disasters sometimes. Yeah, so you know, it's all like we're all kind of human disasters sometimes. So, you know, everybody understands. It's hard, it's tough, it's school.
Yeah.
What are some of the team's proudest accomplishments?
Graduating typically.
I think that's
team.
more
I think
individual
that's-
based on like
Individual
our
members of the team,
students.
yeah.
But in terms of for the team, I think like the first one that comes to mind, and I know we say it a lot, is we did come second at URC at the last actual competition that was held. Like, it came out of nowhere almost. Like we went there, we knew we were gonna do well, but like we were competing and like we ran into issues here and there. Like we were doing things last minute as we do. But like I remember, oh God, do you remember, Luca, when we actually found out, like a small group of us found out first at the scoreboard, and
Yeah.
Feroz was coming, like we completed 2 or 3 of the tasks, and there was debate within the judges about whether we were going to get some more points or something like that, or whether we were eligible for a certain number of points in some of the tasks, because there was like a small ruling, like we were 0.5 centimeters or something.
Yeah, it was a measurement issue, and at one point there was also a question of scale calibration because 2 of the sets of scales measured differently. So there
Right.
was
So
some debate there.
yeah, so they didn't give us definitive scores for some of the tasks. They like gave us a bit of a range, and like a small subset of us, like 5 of us, found the official posting like near the end of the competition, and Feroz and like majority of the rest of the team was like still coming there, and like the 5 of us were like, okay, we have to tell Feroz that we didn't get those points that they
Yeah,
said that we might get. It was like a margin of 20 total points or something. And we're like, okay, we have to like all be like super sad or super down, like just telling like, yo, Feroz, like, no, yo, we didn't get those points, like we didn't get them, like they just took it away from us or whatever. And then he comes, we do the whole show, and he's like, wait, what? Like he's freaking out himself. Like we're rushing him, like running him to the board, like, yo, look, it's over here, it's over here. And he's like going through all of them frantically. They've like got this giant board of all the teams and all their scores. He's like, what? No, okay, that's what we got. Okay, this is what we got. And he's like, oh no, this is what we got. And then he gets like the last one, and it's 20, 30 points higher than who he was expecting. And we like did the math, we got second, and he just freaks the hell out. And like 5, 7 of us just rolled on the floor in the middle of the desert, just like out of pure joy and like just playing this random joke on Feroz, especially because it was his last year.
Yeah, that was a real moment for Feroz too, right? He founded the team, and then it was his last year on the team,
Yeah.
and second place.
Well, that's like my favorite moment on
It
the
was a
team.
real moment, and we still took advantage of it to mess with him.
No,
What's
that
the
was
team without some teasing, though,
no,
right?
honestly,
Yeah,
like
no,
it
for
was all in
Feroz,
good
Feroz is
fun.
all about that kind of thing. So
100%.
he loves that kind of thing.
Besides that, what have we really accomplished? And like,
Yeah,
not that like what have we accomplished, but like what
Ram
else are some of our
thought
notable
shooting
ones?
the
that's
basket
true.
at the Raptors game was pretty exciting.
Yeah, so we did like a halftime show for the Raptors way back when, like what was that, 2016? I want to say somewhere in there,
2017
2016,
maybe.
Something in that
2016
range.
to 17, somewhere in there, give or take a year. We did like a
Um,
halftime show for the Toronto Raptors. They reached
I
out
think it
to
was
us.
16.
Yeah, 16. I think we ended up boasting like 80% from the 3-point range, which is absolutely absurd. Like even if you take like the best basketball shooters, like 3-point shooters in history, at best right now they're averaging 45%. So we're easily doubling the rate and accuracy that they're doing, which is absolutely crazy to think about. If you were to put our robot next to like Steph Curry, Damian Lillard, or like even historic legends like Larry Bird, and we're still outperforming them. Of course, it's a human to a robot, but still, the fact that we can do that,
Daniel likes basketball, if you can't tell.
I'm a huge fan.
It
That's
was,
something we do too, like outside of
15,
just
by the
that
way.
is we work with companies or on special projects. So like companies will reach out to us and we're totally excited about working on those side projects.
Yeah, we've got a couple in the pipeline right now as well.
Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Anybody watching this video?
Keep your
Keep an
eye
eye
out.
out. Yeah, keep an eye out for some of the cool stuff we got working on. Are we the largest design team as well? It's not a real
I
accomplishment, but like,
believe we're the largest.
Yeah, we are.
yeah. So
Bigger than, I think second would be Formula.
yeah, I would say Formula's a second.
Also, even the sub working. I mean, that's a big project, and that was a big project, and it was
Yeah.
like, less than a year concept to completion. That's even that thing working and participating in competition and earning points is an achievement for the first
Yeah,
time.
100%. Like, how many teams go to RoboSub?
It's
It's
not
like
a huge amount because it's a very
30-ish?
complex thing. Yeah, less actually, I think.
Okay.
I
If
couldn't
anyone
tell you.
doesn't know what the RoboSub is, it's an underwater autonomous robot. So it's kind of like a drone, but underwater, and you do a whole bunch of cool tasks like go through hoops, shoot torpedoes, you do barrel rolls, things like that. And we did pretty good for it being our first year. That's
Yeah,
something
we
we're
were
looking forward to in the future, hopefully doing that again.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think at least I'm hoping that we can get that going up again next year. I think we have the numbers now. I think that was the biggest concern last year / this year was we were really short on numbers and we've really grown the team.
Well, it
So
was
I'm really
also
hoping we can get those going.
it was also spreading the attention, right? It's a lot to manage, and
Mm.
RoboSub is really complicated on its own. Like it's a whole nother set of things than URC and Cirque, right? Or both rover competitions. RoboSub
Right.
is completely different technology, completely different expertise.
Yeah, but it also gives you another opportunity to learn and to grow as well. And I don't think we want to remove it from like our pipeline in any way because
Oh no, we want to go back to it for sure.
yeah,
right?
100%.
But just this year, we took the opportunity to grow the team, to kind of get a good pipeline going for introducing new members, and that meant less effort to focus on that very, very technical competition, right?
Yeah.
So the next question is, I'm guessing from one of our fans, is it true that R3 is the best design team?
Yes.
Unequivocally, yes.
Yes, 100%. Like,
Absolutely.
We're biased, but we think
That's our first test. You join, we train you, we ask you that question, and if you hesitate for a microsecond, we point at like a 20,000 frame per second camera at your face. If you hesitate for one frame, out, gone.
The only other acceptable answer is that RFR competes with us. And I would say most of us agree with that. That RFR is a very close second, even from our biased point of view.
RFR are cool, man, but they don't have the special place R3 has in my heart.
Exactly.
What do you guys think is the reason? Why do you think we're the best team? Like, what do you love about being on R3?
I don't think, at least from what I've seen, little snippets here and there, I've dipped my toes in a couple of different design teams. Like the camaraderie and like the general atmosphere at R3 is like amplified to a million. You're going to be welcomed 100% with open arms, and that's not to say that the other teams don't as well, but like you're just embraced so quickly into the team culture, and you're set to work so fast. We try to just keep everyone in the know-how. Like we don't leave you hanging or anything, and I just like that we actually put the people on the team first. That's a really big thing apart from the actual technical work and placements at competitions that I would say that we're one of the best teams at the
Yeah.
university, at least.
Like I gotta say, when I joined the team, like the stuff I learned from like Furrows and Keaton and staying late at the shop, you'd stay late and like I'd be working on assembling something and Gabe would be soldering or Adam would be soldering. It's just, it's like seriously, after a couple of years, after a few months even in this team, your whole life just kind of starts to orbit around it. It's crazy. And like you end up identifying, I gotta say, you end up identifying with the team way more than with the school. Like all your
100%.
in jokes, are with the team. You're talking with people outside the team and you crack a joke and they're like, what? And you're like, oh,
Wait, you guys aren't those
oh,
people?
yeah, wrong group. Whoops.
You
Yeah,
make
no.
such good friends on the team too. Like
So
some
true.
of my best
Yeah.
friends I made on the team, which is so nice.
Yeah, no.
Also, one factor that just makes us the best is that besides having these friendships, when I first joined, I felt like everyone took robotics really seriously. And like, although we're having fun, like it's a serious thing and we committed to making the best robot. It's not just somewhere that we can come and joke around and not take seriously. Like you're really working and you're really pushing yourself to do better and learn more. And that's one thing that I think really helps set us apart.
Yeah, and that's not to say we don't take the time to have fun. I think like Luca and I have kind of like alluded to that as well. But when it gets down to it, we're 100% about uh, getting the robot done, getting it working, getting the best performance out of it that we can, and getting the projects that we do want to do and finishing them to the best of our abilities. And that's what it's all about. And I think that's what a lot of the design teams are about. It's just whether they end up actually getting there is up for debate, I would say.
Okay, we have a huge common goal, right? The thing is, like, Ryerson's a commuter school for the most part. So people commute here and they show up and they go to their courses and then, they start doing poorly in a course or whatever. And their sole focus is like, I want to pass and get my degree. They're not like living on campus for the most part. So there's not really a campus community so much.
Mhm.
And I'm not trashing Ryerson. I love this school. But especially early on for my first year and a bit at this school, I didn't really talk to any of my professors and I didn't really know my classmates that well.
100%.
So the team was part of kind of my kind of exposure to a community around here. And the other thing is for R3 specifically, our tasks are so subdividable. And the whole thing can be cut into so many pieces and systems and then kind of narrowed down that we have a lot of work to spread around to a lot of people. And for a lot of other design teams, that's just not the case. So it's really hard for new members sometimes to find work. That's a huge thing for R3 is we can split the task into a lot of subtasks and everybody kind of gets a piece of the pie.
Yeah.
That's really true, Luca. Like you get to take the initiative on your task, and because we can split it up so much, you can be creative and you can really make your mark on the rover or whatever robot you're working on, which can be really gratifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, I loved early on being on the team, working on something and not really figuring it out because I wasn't very good at what I did. Bring it to Feroz, and this man would just like turn to the whiteboard and be like,
God.
do this.
Yeah.
And like sketch it out. I'm like, why or how are you doing this? What is in your brain that this comes out, dude? And then
No, 100%.
I almost feel now like I'm not going to say I'm on Feroz's level, not even close. Nobody's on Feroz's level, but I start to feel more and more as time goes on. Like I get moments like that where I'm like, oh yeah, I know where I'm going with this. I know the mechanism to apply here, and it's
100%.
great. You can kind of look back to what you used to do, and be like, oh wow, I quantifiably, measurably learned.
Yeah, that was something that like I'll be honest, like in previous years, like I would have said like, oh, I haven't really learned as much, or like I haven't grown as much as maybe as I would have liked to. But like I'm now realizing as like I've gone back to some of the more basic skills or simpler skill sets that I've started out on the team with, and I'm just like, wait, like my comprehension level and like my level of understanding has grown actually so much. Like I haven't actively designed something for the team in a while now because I've been managing more. And just like last week, I had the opportunity to actually make something, and I was like, wait, like I could plan this out and set it out and do it so much faster and so much cleaner than when I started, or even like just a year ago, before I even started managing projects for the team. So even if you don't think you're learning or you don't realize, you still are a huge amount. And there's always that going on, no matter what you are doing on the team. Um, and that's a huge thing for that we've been working on as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah, you look at things like there's a moment of realization where you finish kind of making a sketch or doing something in SolidWorks, or you 3D printed something, and you think like, I would not have known, like I didn't know head from tails for this
A
stuff.
hundred
Like a few
percent.
years ago, I wouldn't have even known where to start, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Bro's gonna laugh at us if he watches this video.
No, Froze
Good.
was such a
Keep
big part
laughing.
of that.
Keep laughing, dude.
Yeah,
He was a
no,
big mentor.
Froze was a huge mentor. Like I remember,
Big time.
like in previous years, we've tried running seminars and everything, and we'd have a handful of different people try and run them, and then in the end, we would always go back to Froze, and then Froze would be like, "You have really great ideas, but here's an even
But
better way to do it," and like, still incorporate everything you're learning, and you're just like, boom, like, why didn't I ever think about that? Or like, even you just like learn something at every step, no matter what.
yeah,
And I think that's been something true in the past, and something I think we're keeping true to this day, and hopefully continuing forward, like that keeps moving forward. um, Everyone is always teaching someone something.
yeah, yeah. Learned a lot from Feroz and Keaton, and I know
Mhm.
you did too, Daniel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Talking about experience, has there been any previous R3 member who came with no experience?
Yeah, it's fairly common, really.
Yeah, I would say like a good, at worst, at least 50% of the team, like current team, has like come into the team and joined with zero outside robotics experience or even hands-on experience to start with. Um, Anything more than like wood shop is pretty rare, for the most case. Um, and
We
with
have
that,
some people with amazing robotics experience, and they did it like all through high school, but then we also have people who are just like really enthusiastic. That's why we're so into mentorship and teaching. We do training modules every fall for our new members. So as
Mhm.
long as you're willing to learn and you're willing to like go through the resources we give you and come to the office hours and let us teach you, like it's so great to see people grow.
Yeah, and when we're on campus, or hopefully when we get to return, or when we were always telling people like, oh, there's always someone in the shop. Like if you ever have a question, just come by between classes really quick, ask a question or whatever. Like there's always going to be someone there willing to help you, even if they're doing work. Like they're not even going to complain. Like they're going to jump at the chance to answer your questions and help you, especially if you are willing to and you're showing that initiative to try and learn and grow your skill set in any way.
Our facilities at school are in the lower floor
Of
of one of
Kerhal.
the buildings of
Yeah.
Kerr Hall. So it's the lower floor of an old building too. Oh, it's great. I love that place so much.
It's
No.
nice and close to the machine shop.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's just down the road. It's just down
Yeah.
Down
the
the hall, down the road,
down the road. Duff.
Well, we do drive a Rover down that hall, so it is kind of a road.
RFR pushes their car down there, and the bug was stored in there for a while too. It's literally
Yeah.
a road. There's cars on it.
There's cars. There's cars.
It used to be a laundromat too, and then it was a and then it was a student space for engineering students, and that got
Oh yeah.
removed, and I've never gotten a clear answer as to why. But who knows? So now it's student design space, and it's great.
All right, so now this is more about your personal experience. Why did you decide to join R3?
So I went to university. I decided to stay close to home, so I went to Ryerson in Toronto. And my buddy from high school, we've been on our high school robotics team, and robotics is a serious stretch for what we did. Well, okay, we did robotics, but it was a bad robot, man. Like we did it, like we learned a lot. And we made stuff out of wood. It actually moved in the end and worked, but
Oh yeah.
it was not a like good robot by the standards of what we're doing now.
Oh,
Great,
100%.
great experience though. Shout out to our professors, by the way, Mr. Haddad and Mr. Byrne. You guys were dope. Great experience. But yeah, I came to university, and I was, kind of being a bit of a teenager with it. So I was like, no, I'm just gonna focus on school for some reason. I
Teenagers
don't know
focusing
why
on
I
school.
did that. Yeah. And Adam was like, nah, dude, join the robotics team. Come on, this is so cool. I'm doing all this cool stuff. I'm like, no, Adam, leave me alone. You've told me 36 times. And a whole year of that. Seriously, he bothered me about it all the time. In the summer, I went to George Brown. I was always interested in machining. So I took their course. They have a course called Mechanical Techniques for students who've completed first year engineering. They teach you machining, a whole bunch of stuff like that. Then I went and joined the team finally on Adam's recommendation as kind of a machinist / mechanical member. Best decision ever.
What year was that? Was that 2015 that you joined, or 2016?
Well, 2016 I was in first year, so I think it was 2017. Summer 2017.
So wait, I was on the team before you?
Yeah, you were on the
Jeez.
team before me, man. You were
Oh,
on
I'm
the team before me.
old.
You were in the school before me too, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've been on this in the school for like longer than anyone on campus.
You hear that? He's a professional.
No.
So why did you join
what's
the
your
team,
joining
Daniel?
story?
So I had a little bit of engineering stuff in high school. Like we made like these little sumo bots. I made this firefighter robot that had to like navigate a maze. So I always found that stuff super interesting. So I decided to do engineering at university. That's a whole story in of itself. But I ended up coming to Ryerson super late. And then every time I was looking at the universities, I was looking into the design teams. So I planned to join design teams as I got to the university. And I remember in first year, back in 2015, that I was running around trying to join Baja, which is like our off-roading racing design team. So I was like running around the design zone, running to rest, running to Mech U throughout the year, trying to be like, I'm trying to get a hold of Baja or like trying to join Baja, and I can't find them. And eventually, like they sent me to the design zone and everything. I would show up there, no one was there, and I'm just like, does this team even exist?
Sleep on their couch, dude. Sleep on their couch.
So I spent my whole first year doing that, and then in second year, a whole bunch of my friends were going to like R3 showcase or a recruitment thing for R3, and that's where I got to see Feroz and a couple of the old founding members, and it sold me on it. And since then, I've been on the team. So that's how I ended up kind of being on the team or deciding to join R3. I was like, you know what? None of the other teams are really active or like showing interest in trying to get to people, and I've always been interested in robotics, so I'm gonna jump and go in there.
I feel like we're making Feroz sound like a cult leader here.
Teeny bit.
Just a
Oh, we're
little.
just grateful for him. He started the team after all.
Feroz is
Yeah.
a gem. Feroz
is awesome. I love Feroz. What about you guys?
So I got really into robotics in grade 12. That was like my favorite thing about grade 12 was finding out what is robotics, getting my hands dirty. I learned how to code. I was competing in VEX. So I started my own VEX team. Originally it was just me, then like I got some other students to join me. I would like go after hours to like our robot shop in the school and like work on the bot. Like after dinner, I'd take the robot home. I'd like lug a thing of tools and be like, I gotta get it to work. I learned how to code. I coded our autonomous on the ferry on the way to competition. Wasn't a good autonomous.
True R3 fashion.
Yeah,
True
really.
R3 fashion.
R3 member before you were even an R3 member.
So from that's how I was like, okay, I think I want to do engineering. I actually applied to engineering programs and creative writing programs for university because I was like, do I want to write novels or do I want to be an engineer? The media team's kind of been a nice intersection of that. Get to like use some of my writing skills while still doing robotics, but my true love is mechanical. Like I love getting my hands dirty, making something concrete with my hands. So my first summer at Ryerson, I did cardiac catheter robotics research under one of the professors. And through that, I heard about the team. Some of my coworkers were on the team. And so I came to one of their meetings and joined that way. And then started first year and was like loving the team, became really into mechanical, took the machining course in my first semester, first year. So I learned how to use the machines like lathe and mill. And then like got machining shop access through that. So all through first year, like every Friday, I'd spend like 6 hours in the
You
machine
guys
shop.
spent so much time in there.
Yeah.
So much time.
But I made a cool bunch of parts for the rover, which was so fun and actually a really nice way to let off steam after classes all week. Like I got to do something real, like I'm doing this, like I'm building the robot, which was so fun. And I love that. And then getting to make so many friends on the team was really great. So that's how I got into it. And it was actually one of the deciding factors for me to come to Ryerson. Like I looked up, what design teams do you guys have? And I saw the Ryerson Rams Robotics. I'm like, perfect. And I saw that you guys came second place in the world that spring that I was applying. And I was like, yes, sounds really good. And I like Toronto, so that was another thing. Yeah.
With me, like, so I'm originally from South Africa, where robotics is not very big at all. And especially like at my school, like I knew nothing about robotics. And I'm not sure if Vanessa even remembers this, but I still remember sitting in first year, like, and you guys were giving us the presentation from when you guys went to URC. And I was like, I think I want to join that team. And you were like, you told me, you were like, you should. And I was like, oh, but I know nothing about robotics. Like, there's no way. And you were like, you should still apply. But I was literally too scared. I was like, these guys are going to laugh at me. I have no skills. I have nothing to bring to the table. So I didn't end up applying. And then over the summer, I really started getting into video editing. And then I was like, maybe I can apply. And then they'd like let me video edit for them because I saw the media team application. And that was the reason why I ended up joining. And I think it's really helped because it's allowed me to explore robotics as well as put together these awesome edits for you guys. So that's why I ended up joining, and I'm so glad that I did because it's really been such an amazing experience so far.
Oh, we're so glad to have you. I'm so glad you did.
No, actually, like,
it took some courage, but I joined.
Yeah, and people don't hesitate to like approach us. We're not gonna laugh at you. We're way too stupid to be laughing at other people.
Yeah,
true.
we're just happy to have you. Like our strength as a team is the people on our team. Like if you're excited about it, we're so like excited to have you, you know?
100%. I don't think
Plus, I mean, we were all clueless at some point. So even if you do think you're clueless, like, yeah, we were there.
Yeah.
Still are there, honestly.
Yeah, honestly, it's the same.
Cool. Our next question is, what skills have you guys learned from the team?
Oh, what have I not learned from this team?
How to pass a course.
Got me there.
We don't teach that, folks. We give you a lot, but no, we do not teach you how to pass classes. Sorry.
Oh God.
Actually, though, it is nice to have people on the team to be like, which professor did you have? Who do you like? You know,
Okay.
what do you think is the best resource? So like it was guys on the team. I think it might have even been you, Luca, who told me about Paul's online math notes. Like I use that to pass Calc 2.
I
So
think I remember that actually.
yeah, like there is some benefit of like
Oh,
having
yeah.
that network on the team to learn about like how to get through your courses.
I take it back.
100%.
Apparently, we do teach how to pass courses, huh?
Apparently, I never learned. So, almost everything that I do, even at the university now, like in my classes, still, apart from like the hardcore pure maths and stuff like that, everything else, whether it was materials science, SolidWorks, or just even like interpersonal skills or like personal thinking skills, like decision making and stuff like that, massive gains.
So true. Yeah.
Massive gains in those respects to when I joined the team, like in every facet. Yeah, I could go on and on. What about you guys?
Yeah, basically, it's especially interpersonal. All right. Well, I can't say I'm great now, but man, I was an interpersonal disaster before, and this team really taught me a lot about, you know, interacting with people and not being totally bizarre about it. It's
No,
it really teaches you a lot about working with people.
yeah.
I think leadership, I really like honed my leadership skills. So I've ended up leading a bunch of different teams. So whether they're like smaller teams on the mechanical side of like 5 people to the media team, which has grown to about 45 people. So I'm managing like 45 people with sub teams in that. And now Kelly is. So that's like a big thing to keep track of what is everything we're doing, what are all our deadlines, which projects depend on each other. And then I really worked on like technical communication. So how, when you're just describing like a mechanical design to someone, how do you make sure they understand what you're saying? And how do you know if they get what you're like your vision? And getting everyone working in the same direction all together, and you use everyone's like momentum. Because if everyone's pointing in different ways, it ends up, you don't go anywhere. But if you get everybody aligned, that's when the magic happens.
It's like magnets. When you pour the iron around the magnet and they all line up and like in the magnetic field. That's all I could think of while you're saying that. I was like, everyone's lining up magnets. Like,
Yeah, I think communication is a big one, and also just learning to manage my time, because sometimes I feel like I just want to continue working on this, and then sometimes I forget about school or the other way around, and it's really taught me to just take this as a job and just really dedicate my time accordingly.
oh God.
Just gonna take that last clip and forward it to anyone who's like, why are your 3rd year grades so low?
No, honestly,
Yeah,
I remember
time
like
management.
time management is still like a skill I've learned a massive amount of, but like it's still something that like needs perfecting every day, every stage that you're working at. Like I'd like managed to figure out where my limits were before I became an executive, or like before I got a leadership role, and then I got a leadership role and I was staying downtown, so I was super close to campus, like 20-minute walk. I didn't have to commute 3 hours one way anymore, so I was like, I can give the team all the extra time I can. I ended up spending my whole reading week in the basement just doing stuff, and I was just like, wait, I have exams in 2 days. Like,
Yeah.
don't let that be the case for you. Don't be like me in those scenarios.
It doesn't
But
have to happen. Like most of our members don't have that
yeah,
experience.
yeah,
It's just because we're all so passionate. It's like, I love it too much to stop. I really, and everybody on the team, it's not like other people are pushing me. They're like, Vanessa, do your homework. And I'm
Oh
like,
God.
but I want to.
I think
Oh,
I think
I
a
can't.
good chunk of us have attention deficit issues too. So like, I just actually, it's slightly off topic, but for anyone watching, since you're all Ryerson students, if you qualify for accommodations for any kind of disability or anything like ADHD, apply. I did not apply for the longest time until 4th year. And the process is not as hard as you think it's going to be to get those accommodations, and they will help.
Ryerson
apply.
is so great that way. Like they're
Mhm.
very good. The academic accommodations office is excellent. So definitely check it out. So the next question is, if the rover stops working, who is the go-to person?
Depends on what part of it stops working, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
everybody really specializes, right? Because we have like a software team, a controls hardware team, we have a mechanical team, a science team, and we have the media and outreach team. So everybody has like their domain where they're really like an expert.
Yeah. We have a couple of guys that are pretty interdisciplinary. Like before, like up until 2 years ago when Froze was still on the team, like he was the go-to person. Like this
Yeah,
man could
but not
answer
for like a
every.
controls issue,
He
right?
still had like a really good idea of everything
He
that
had
was
a
going
good
on.
grounding, right? But if you were having problems with the rover's control system, you'd go talk to like Gabe or
Gabe
Adam.
or Adam. Yeah, like
Yeah.
you still had people that were able to give you the exact answer, but like in the past, most often, like at least as far as I know, the team captain has always been someone who knows the baseline of everything that's going on and can point you in the right direction. Worst case scenario, if they can't solve it for themselves, if they're not able to do it themselves. Other than that, if you're ever running into a problem with anything, it's normally like your direct lead or
Yeah.
the person that you're working under, I guess, that you go to.
You know, for
That's the bad thing though. Like I think it's good that we like intermesh between teams. Like
Mhm.
sometimes when we're working on a project, like we're working on the chassis, and it was really dependent on mechanical, but also on controls hardware. So we had like the electrical wiring controls hardware lead come into the meetings. So when we were making those big decisions, we had all the brains in the room to be like, okay, I'm an expert in this, and I'm an expert in this, and we made sure it worked for everybody.
It gives you the opportunity to learn or gain the baseline knowledge that, like we kind of mentioned here and there. As you're working on projects, you don't have to actively be like, oh, I'm on the mechanical team, I don't need to think or even worry about hardware or software stuff. Like, it's so important to be discussing all of those things, like, and to keep all three parts of a functioning robot working cohesively, even just with the people who are working on it, and just having that open board communication to make sure that I'm thinking of designing something this way. Is this something you can actually control? What would the line of code look like? Is it something you guys are able to code? Is this something that you guys can get the feedback, or is there something I need to do mechanically to make sure that it runs as smoothly as possible? And that kind of goes into that.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, if I assume the question was asked in the spirit of like, if you're testing the rover and something on it breaks, who do you go to? And the answer is whichever, there's a few team leads and people on the team who are kind of known experts in their subject matter, whichever of them you can get a hold of, or whichever of them worked on the system that broke.
Yeah.
That's basically what we end up doing.
Yeah, for the most part.
Cool. Our next question is, what 3 words best describe the team?
I would say camaraderie. Like,
Yeah.
it's just such a nice atmosphere. And so you're colleagues, but you're mostly friends, which is really nice.
100%. That would be probably the first thing that comes to mind is for me as well. Like, some of the connections, some of the friends that I made on the team are just absolutely amazing, and like, these will be lifelong friends, at least in my opinion.
That's so true. I'd say challenge too. The working on the team and stuff on the team is hard in a way that school isn't, right? School, you're gonna learn out of the textbooks, you're gonna take notes in lecture, do practice problems, and you're gonna pass a test. There's no test on the team, right? You need to do things that like actually work.
Hardworking. When I first came, I was like blown away by the amount of work you guys were doing, and it was cool. Definitely hardworking needs to be one of the 3 words.
I would agree. Like, we generally do push people to do the best that they can, and we want to facilitate that as much as we can as well, at least on the
Right.
leadership side.
Yeah, like it's really driven, which is nice. Like, you can get with like-minded people and like really strive towards that common goal, which is cool.
So just that work ethic, especially during COVID, really like motivated me to get up and do something.
Yeah. No, there are
That's so
oftentimes in the
true.
morning where I'm just like, I lay in bed for like an extra 2 hours, and I'm just like,
Oh God,
I don't
every
want to
day.
do any work or anything. Like, I don't want to get out of bed or anything. And then I'm just like, oh, I could do this thing for R3, and like, I will jump out of bed at the opportunity to do that.
Seriously, yeah, like in the morning every day you sit in bed and you're like, must I?
Yeah.
Must I get up? And then you're like, oh, but I can fix that cat I did yesterday.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's a lot more enticing a prospect, let me tell you, than I can watch that pre-recorded lecture from 2 weeks ago that I haven't caught up with yet.
Yeah, online Zoom university. Hopefully, eventually, we'll be back to real classes.
I mean, a lot of the professors say the same thing, at least that like some of the professors I've had for my classes and stuff, they're like, they're not a huge fan of the online thing. They're just trying to do what they can. Like,
Nobody likes it.
Well, thanks for joining. It's been really great to talk to you guys and answer some of the questions. If you guys have been watching this video, we're glad you made it to the end and you got to hear a little bit about the culture of R3. Please like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to our channel because we're posting lots more videos. We have lots coming down the pipeline, and comment in the comments below what you'd like us to answer next, because we're planning to do more of these videos. So you can ask us questions below and we'll answer them in a later video.
yeah, even video ideas or anything you'd like us to talk about, or even just bring up discussion or try and look into, let us know and we can see what we can do about those as well.
Nice talking to you, everybody. See you in our
Looking
next
forward to the
video.
next time. Yep.